Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth that there is no such thing as coincidences or mistakes. And we are here to share our experience on that with you, our friends in the audience. I'm Deb Miller.
Hi, I am Susan Doyle. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Deb, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Yeah,
Yeah,
survived the holiday of Christmas. And by the way, happy Hanukkah.
thank you very much. Thank
Happy
you.
Hanukkah.
It was very, very unusual that the first night of Hanukkah landed ex on Christmas night. So it
See.
was kind of iconic this year. And so far, I've lit the candles both nights. So it's progress.
Nice. I love it. I think it speaks volumes that both of these holidays are falling on the same day of, just the unity of all of us coming together. I just love it. And it's
Yeah, I
again
agree.
not a coincidence that we need it during this time. And now we get ramped up for the new year, which is a whole other set of
Yeah.
expectations that I don't know. I don't dig. I'm not digging it.
Yeah, before we started recording, we were talking about New Year's resolutions and how much perceived or actual pressure there is for people to, proclaim or write down or shout to the world um, a New Year's resolution. And I have never been somebody who has had goals. Never ever had set a New Year's resolution for myself. I find it to be too much pressure for me because if I don't hit the exact wording of the goal or the resolution or what have you, I feel like a failure.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
and secondly, I think what it does is it brings to mind that there's something about you that needs to be fixed or changed.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that nobody needs to be fixed.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I think there's things that can be let go of, um, things that, when you let go, you kind of open up yourself to receive something different, receive a new possibility or a new opportunity. Um, But so for those of you who don't know, I do have a full-time job, but I have a side hustle my whole life. It's always been teaching. So I am still fortunate enough after 37, 38 years, oh God, almost 39, to still be
Oh,
teaching
goodness.
classes. And I found yoga decades ago, and I also teach yoga. So I was saying to Deb, I would like to share something with her as well as you all that I share with my yoga classes every single year.
Let's hear it.
And I tee it up by saying typically what you'll see across either social media or advertising campaigns is new year, new you. And just that drives me absolutely nuts because there doesn't need to be a new you. You, me, we're just perfect the way we are, right?
Yes, indeed.
So, this quote is by a woman named Emily McDowell, and it said, "Finding yourself, quote unquote, is not really how it works. You are not a $10 bill in last year's winter's coat pocket. You are also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you drew as a kid that become your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually returning to yourself, an unlearning, an excavation, and remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you."
Oh, so good. So good and so true. We come into
So, what do you
this
think about
world.
that? Like
I love
how,
it.
yeah,
I love it.
right?
We come into this world pure light, and then things are piled on us that we shouldn't have to take on. And
And so many of us carry things that were never intended for that person in the beginning. We just take it on and carry it around. And so, I feel like, to me, every day is a new beginning. Every hour can be a new beginning. Every breath could be a new beginning. Um, so when we're embarking on a brand new year, 2025, which, do you remember in Y2K we thought everybody thought the world was going to come to a complete stop.
yes.
Well, it hasn't. It keeps going. And I find myself, at this time of year, I think, really trying to slow down. I really don't, the pace of the holidays, I'm always trying to pump the brakes so I can be present and really enjoy and absorb all the energy that's going on around me, whether it's family, in the home, whether my kids were home for 3 days, which was fantastic,
Mhm.
whether it's just spending time with friends or being not rushing out of to go on to the next type of thing. It brings me back to the fact that prior to finding yoga or anything, was I always just wanted to wake up in the morning and do a good job at being a
Mhm.
human being, whether
Mhm.
that was contributing to my family, whether it was having a conversation with a friend, whether it was being a contributing person on my work team, and then at the end of the day, I always wanted to be able to look at myself in the mirror and said, you did the best you can today.
Right.
Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah. So good. So good. I love that. I love everything about that. I love the we're not supposed to be finding ourselves. And I also love that you said about starting being a new you for in the new year. It's like, no, we don't. Yeah, we might need to make some improvements, but
Right.
every day, like we have to make improvements on a whole bunch of things. I do anyways. Mostly it's on accepting what's happening around me, accepting the accepting and being able to deal with people are different. We're all different.
Hmm.
And in order to get along nicely in this world, we have to sometimes make accommodations for another person to be able to get through and feel what they're feeling. But
Agreed.
back to the New Year's resolutions, I think I don't particularly remember exactly, but I'm sure at some point I made resolutions, but I'm also certain that they didn't last for more than a day. It just wasn't my thing. And I'd feel terrible. I'd get the fuckets. I'd be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just continue on doing my thing, whether it was quitting smoking or, you know, cutting back on sugar or whatever it may be. It just never worked for me either. It's a pressure. It's a pressure. But I did make a resolution to live a life clean of substances, which was huge. And that is a
Hmm.
dedication, and that is something that um, I really had to commit to. And I did, but nothing New Year's related. Um,
Yeah, I think it was time. And but the resolution to stay sober is one that, takes work every minute of every day, correct? Like, you
right?
recommit. It's you start again, um, every day, every breath. It's day by day, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah, so it
sometimes,
wasn't like you looked at yourself and said, I need to be a new Deb Miller.
no.
What it is I need to go back to the Deb Miller I was before the drugs,
Yeah,
the addiction got a hold of me.
I needed to stop. hiding and running and numbing
Hmm.
myself. I needed to get to a place where I could look at myself and recognize what I needed to change internally so that I could live life on life's terms,
Correct.
and because before I just couldn't. Any emotional pain that I felt was immediately numbed. And you can't go through life not feeling emotional pain. It just doesn't work that way. But,
Right.
as long as I could find a way to handle the tough parts of life without numbing myself through it, then I was going to be okay. And that's what I've done. But I want to kind of talk a little bit about the making a resolution. So I, again, didn't really never did it for New Year's, but I found myself in a position. This is a really cool story. I love telling this story because it's really hard to believe that it came true, but it did. So, I had I had been laid off from a job. I have always worked full time in the corporate world, and I was going on like I was 17 years with one company and I left that company. I was scouted at a different company and I left and I went to this new company. And after COVID, the place folded after about 2.5 years. So I was laid off. About half of the company was. And I found myself in a position where I was like, oh my gosh, I must have been like 52 or 53. And even though we don't feel our age, people who are looking at resumes, they're like, oh, whatever. So
Yes.
I was having a really hard time finding another job. But not only that, it was my own doing that I was not finding a job because every time I'd read the job description that fit into my experience, I was like, oh, they wanted to know, how many sales you closed and how and this and goals and da 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 da. And I was like, I am so tired of that world. It was not filling me up in any way, shape, or form, spiritually or any other way. It was just a paycheck. So one day Kevin said to me, I was having like I said, I was having a really hard time because I was so used to that paycheck and the insurance and the, knowing how much was going to be in my bank account and all of that. Um, I started really to panic. And he said to me, I want you to think about something. And I said, okay. And he said, picture yourself having all the money in the world, more money than you would ever need. Like, what would you be doing with yourself every single day? And I said, "Oh, well, okay, let's play this game. This is a fun game." So I
Kind of
said,
like the game that you play when you like, what if you win the lottery,
"Yes,
right? Yeah.
exactly."
Hmm.
But it was really like I had to think about it, like, what would I do with my day? And so I thought about all of the things that I've always wanted to do, but never had enough time because I was in front of a computer for 8 to 10 hours a day. So I said, well, I really want to work on my spirituality. I want to read the Bible. I've never read the Bible. I said, I want to volunteer and sponsor more women in NA and AA, because I need to give back the gift that I've been given. I said I'd love to work with maybe volunteer with some animals because I really miss having a dog and I love animals. And I said I probably would write my book because I've been wanting to write a book for quite some time. Um, And I said, and while we're at it, if I have all of this money, then I'm going to just donate a bunch to small nonprofits because when we were in Connecticut, I worked at a nonprofit that raised money for pediatric oncology, and it was really hard to get people to donate. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and just help them financially, like give them large sums of money. Um, and so Kevin says to me, well, why don't you just start doing that stuff and wait to see what happens? The job will come if it's meant to be or whatever, but start focusing on that stuff. So I did. Every day I read the Bible. I started learning how to meditate. I went down to the Salvation Army Rehab Center, started sponsoring women there. Um, I put out a little thing on the neighborhood app, like, hey, if anybody's looking to have their dog walked, let me know. And then I started, and I got a lot of responses to that right away. So immediately I started doing all these things, and it started working out. And then I met somebody through some networking who had just published these books. And I said, how did you get your book published? I've been thinking about writing a book. And he introduced me to his editor and publisher. So I said, all right, well, let's do this. So I started the book. And about 6 months later, I meet this couple who Kevin knew, and they moved down here to Florida, and we became really close. Um, Spent a lot of time together, and they're snowbirds. So before they left to go back to Rhode Island, they offered me a job, part-time job, running their family foundation. So they said to me, listen, we want to do something different than just donate to nonprofits. We really want to teach them how to fish rather than just giving them the fish. Can you help us do that? So I said, absolutely. Let's work with small
Yeah.
nonprofits. So it wasn't my money that I was helping nonprofits for, but I was hired by somebody who allowed me to do that. So then I published the book. The book, has been doing really well, and all of the things that I put on that list came into fruition. They all came true.
That is amazing. Amazing.
I never put a timeline on it. I never manifested it in a way where like I meditated over it. It was none of that. It was just putting it all on paper and then just doing a little at a time. Just every single day, I would do something on that list that would kind of further me. And it all came true.
Yeah, but that, which is unbelievable, but don't you stopped trying to put yourself into a space that was not meant for you.
Right. The
And then
universe
all
said to me,
the
no,
opportunities just kept falling right in front of you. And here's the other thing, you were not, you made, you came out from behind that computer and woke up to the path, right? And then all these opportunities were just, and possibilities were right there in front of you, and you were awake enough
yeah.
to say, that sounds great. That sounds great. That sounds great.
And that's the other thing. I'm not a risk taker. I like structure. I like to know what is expected of me. I like to know, what's going to be coming in pay wise and everything. This was a huge risk for me.
Mm-hmm.
The more I started learning about my spirituality and the universe, the more I realized that this life is meant for us to take risks and do the things that drive our passion. And the other thing I did too, I forgot to tell you this, is I started my own business. I started an LLC, helping nonprofits. So that was huge for me because I'm not a business person or whatever, but I was like, okay, I'll just do this. And that was such a risk for me. I had to do it because I am no longer meant to be in the corporate world. It was like it paid the bills when it needed to. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to raise my son, made a living, had insurance, all that. And now it's like the universe has told me that no longer is going to serve you. You have to do something that's going to fill your soul. And it's going to be scary. You're going to have to take a risk, but you're going to have to trust. And for me, trust means having faith. And I do. I have tremendous faith. I know everything's going to work out just fine. It's a bumpy road, but I know everything's going to work out just fine. And once you're in alignment with what is your purpose is meant to be, doors just start opening and things just start
Oh,
coming.
100% agree. And here's
Yeah.
the other thing I have experienced too is that your purpose can change, right? I mean, so, you have maybe a different purpose when your children are little or when you're a young adult as opposed to, I think the purpose the purpose is there, but the way you get there or the way it is a little different based on where you are in your life.
Oh, for sure.
But your purpose can change all the time.
I absolutely, it almost has to, because
Hmm.
where you are in that point in your life, but remembering that we're all working towards the same goal. We're all, like I say a lot, like we're all just walking each other home.
Oh,
So
I love that.
yeah, we're all
I
just walking each other home.
love that.
So let's make that experience a beautiful one. Let's make it a stress-free one. Let's make it like, don't fear is does not should not even be in our vocabulary. We need to trust in the universe, trust in our higher power, trust in God, Jesus, whoever it is that you turn to, and
Hmm.
know that we have created this path of our life, and we're all just walking each other home.
Oh my God, I just love that.
Yeah.
Well, just like the quote I read in the beginning is there oftentimes we allow these external stories, so to speak, become who we are, and the past, lots of times it is just an unlearning. Like you had to unlearn that corporate America
Mm,
isn't for everybody. We're just sort of or that path, that blueprint that you were following wasn't who you really were. You had to unlearn that to kind of excavate that
right.
path, that purpose of,
But
what you were meant to be.
I also feel like some people know right away they have gifts. They have these gifts where they're like, okay, I am going to, from day one, they know that they need to be, they're an artist, right? And so they're going to share their gift of their painting or sculptures or whatever it is of art with the world. Or you might be gifted in fitness like you are, and you use that. I never felt like I had a gift. I never felt like I had even a hobby that I liked. And so it was harder for me to kind of follow
Hmm.
something that was calling me on the inside. It wasn't until I started walking that path that I started realizing that I do have some gifts, um and that was really enlightening. That was really enlightening for me. So, I just, musicians, I'm like, oh my gosh, to be born with that talent, or singing, to have a singing voice. I mean, that's just such an amazing gift. Some people have that, they know right away when they're born what their purpose is going to be, to bring joy and love and whatever to people who need to hear that. And others during their life, they'll start to walk into what it is that they are meant to be. We all have gifts and talents. We just don't know.
Hmm.
Some of us just don't know what they are.
Yeah, and I think too, with with some of those gifts, we are at times conditioned to be humble or not, it's sometimes perceived as being braggadocious or pompous or egotistical to really put those gifts, front and center.
Mm,
And it wasn't until I took a stance, took a mindset towards my teaching where I'm like, you know what? If people come and love what I have to say, they'll come back. If not, and I used because when I was younger, I was very numbers driven. Like I had to have this many people and and I put a lot of pressure on myself. I had a goal. And then when I dropped that, the following and the way I teach exploded.
mm.
And now I'm just simply grateful to have a platform. And I am so grateful that people, that after this many years appreciate what I have to say, the way that I say it. Um, and it's amazing. It's
Yeah, I mean,
amazing. I put less pressure on myself and got more.
right, Right. And that's that risk taking that I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
you being like, I'm not focusing on the numbers. I just want to help people get in shape or find peace in their heart, which is done a lot in yoga,
Mm-hmm.
or hear a message that I have to share. And it's always somebody, I don't care if it's three people or 300, and you say something that you think is meaningless, it's going to touch somebody's heart and they're going to learn
Agreed.
need to have heard
Agreed.
that day. And what comes so naturally to some people is such a gift to others, So
Mm-hmm.
it's,
Yeah.
we all have to share what we have, even if we're
I
not sure what we have, because I'm still not.
right, exactly. Like it sort of organically grows into a thing
Right.
when you're not forcing yourself to look for that thing. There's a couple of lines, there's a couple of go-to phrases, I should say, that my yoga instructor says that I just love and I need to hear on a weekly basis is sometimes less is more, sometimes more is more. It is up
Mm.
to you to make the higher call.
Ooh, I love it.
So sometime, we were often conditioned to just keep putting more on, more goals, more this, more that. And when in actuality, if you just take a moment and take a deep breath,
Right.
you can make the higher call. And oftentimes it's just backing off. It's just doing
Yes.
less to get more.
Oh, that is so big
Yeah.
because doing less, saying less, it saves the peace in your heart, it
Yes.
does,
Yeah.
because showing up to every fight is just not worth it. It's just not worth
Yeah.
it.
I
And
agree.
yeah, we just have too many struggles that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And
Hmm.
so, let that person cut you off in traffic. Who cares? Like in the scheme of things,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. And for me, it's you don't have to show up to every fight, but you also don't have to show up to every party. You can just be, party in the sense that, every situation, you don't have to wear all the hats. You do not have to wear all the labels. You do not have to engage in everything,
yeah, I
you
don't know
know?
about you, but I get like being around a lot of people really can like suck the energy out of me. And especially if it's a large group and you feel like you've got to kind of make small talk with everybody.
Hmm.
I that'll knock me out for a couple days after I'm in that kind of position. I really have to protect my serenity and not show up at every event, every party, every gathering, and really
Yeah.
choose the ones that I'm going to go to. And they usually will be a smaller gathering because I get overstimulated and overwhelmed with a lot of people.
And then you end up, then you start to surround yourself with people who support that higher purpose
Mm, yeah,
and support in a way of not support. I don't mean support like constantly giving you affirmation for it, but it's
no,
more just the energy of the people that you surround yourself with support what you're a stand for. What are you a stand for, and that's your purpose, and you move from that space. And then you never feel like you have to set goals, and you never feel like you have to be something different because you are
yeah.
rooted in that purpose, and
I know
everything
I've
else
talked
sort of drops
before.
away.
Yeah. And I know I've spoken before. I don't know if I've done it on this podcast, but with you for sure is like my belief in spirit realms and spirit guides and you know I feel and energy levels. And I really do.
Hmm.
This happens to me frequently where I am put in a situation with people who I'm aligned with
Correct.
energetically, and we have the same belief in our higher power or whatever that may look like.
And then doesn't life get feel so much easier?
Oh,
It just
yeah.
feels so much smoother and easier. You're not rubbing up against friction. It's just, it just gets smoother. It gets
Yeah.
more, you're just more in the flow.
And you don't feel there's no competitiveness. It's just, you want to really be around people that are just going to lift you up. And
Hmm.
it's not easy to find those people because
No,
everybody struggles with their own inner demons and their own insecurities from when they were brought up or how they were brought up or whatever that might be.
right. So I think we can sum today up as be goalless.
Be goalless and
Be
don't try
goalless.
to change yourself because you're perfect the way you are. You're exactly how you're meant to be at this moment in time.
Yeah, yeah. Just like you and I believe that for some we were meant to be apart for 30 years and we came back together, as friends, like it was meant to be. And
Absolutely.
it's
And now
easy. It's so
we're
easy.
yes, but we continue to learn from each other,
Hmm.
which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so being, that's a good point. And then I think we should wrap it up for this year. 2024 was actually a pretty exciting year. We started a podcast.
Yes. Who would have
We
thunk?
had a very exciting year. Um, oh my God, I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm having a senior moment here for a second. Um,
We're wrapping
I was saying something
2024 up.
about, yeah, being goalless.
Yeah, don't have goals. No
Yeah,
goals.
it's just right. No goals. No goals. No.
Acceptance. Let's
Yeah.
just accept ourselves as we are.
Yeah. Resolution free. You are where you're meant to be right here and right now.
But I will challenge
You
people to write down if they had what their perfect life would look like.
and then move towards that.
And just yeah, just start doing it and see
Get everything else out of the way. Yeah,
see
you're
what
right.
falls into place. Just it's there's no timeline to it. It's like, okay, if we could, how would I spend my day if I had all of my needs met,
Mm-hmm.
and start doing those things because that's
Right.
really where you're going to find the most joy is doing the things that you want to do, not that you need to do.
Agreed. I 100% agree with you. So, I would say Happy New Year to
Happy
you,
New
my
Year.
sweet girl, my sweet friend.
Yes.
I know today I can put my head on the pillow and feel good. And pride, not, what else is, my yoga instructor says I can look at myself in the mirror with healthy pride.
Oh, yeah.
And so my wish for everybody is at the end of every day, all year, you can look at yourself in the mirror with healthy pride.
I love it. And same to you, my friend.
Love you. Thank you guys for listening. Please, 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 if you like the show, if something speaks to you, share the show. We will be on a few more channels or podcast avenues. You can also write us, me and Deb, just even if you just want to say hi, it's rewind and reflect with us, all spelled out at gmail.com. And until next year, namaste. Love you,
Namaste.
girl.
Love you. See you soon.
Bye.